Gee-Whiz.
All I can say is Gee-Whiz. Hey there. Now, you didn't think I was going to actually sing Gee-Whiz to you on the World Wide Web, did you?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
No, I went to get the real deal. And I thought about that. I says, he's probably expecting me to sing, because every time, for those out in the audience, every time I see Gee-Whiz, I always sing Gee-Whiz to him. But I was trying to think of the artist. I couldn't think of who that artist was, so I looked her up, and Carla Thomas.
So
let me tell you, this old brain of mine is feeling old these days. But I said, what a wonderful story. I started reading about her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, did you know her story, how young she started off with her dad at the WDAS radio and all that?
I didn't know the whole story.
Listen, that could be another one of your
musical entertainment.
Yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain to you. We have Mr. Ron Gee-Whiz Butts with us tonight. He is the producer of Background Check, the documentary about hip-hop, the beginning of hip-hop in St. Louis. And you're wondering, what is Edie doing with a man on the radio talking about hip-hop on her jazz show? Well, it's kind of related in a way, and the reason I was playing the Shaka Khan is because the very last documentary or special, do you call them documentaries?
Musical entertainment.
Musical edutainment.
Yes.
And the last one was on Lady Shaka Khan, and that's the one that I went to because I didn't make the Background Check debut, I'm sorry to say. Had I known that it will never be shown again. So what's up with that?
It will be shown, but not any set dates. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on other things to take it to a different level.
I see.
You know. So.
Well, first of all, let's welcome to the show, Gee-Whiz. And you're the first interview that I've done here at KDHX, and the first one that I've done since I've been back in radio.
I am the guinea pig.
Yes, something like that. But it's special. You're special.
I have to be if you invited me.
Listen, tell me about the name Gee-Whiz. What's that all about?
Well, it came from a moniker of a mix of Grandmaster Flash, who was with Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, a rap group in the early 70s. And then I just took it and changed it to, shortened it to Gee-Whiz, later. But I was, Grand Wizard was my actual name,
That's amazing. I mean, you've got to have a heck of an ego to call yourself the Grand Wizard of anything, I mean, I often wonder about some of the names we give ourselves in radio, and especially in the rap field. These guys go all out. They are the almighty of almightiness, But that's great. And I also want to thank you so much for wearing your Marvin Gaye T-shirt for me.
Well,
that's really sweet.
I had to keep you excited and woke.
I'm always excited.
You saw Marvin. You just went to another whole level once. I had to run like I was one of the Beatles.
I can still see the lipstick on the side of your face, too. Listen, the Time Tunnel, 95.5 R&B for the Lou, the God Pops of hip-hop, the Boombox, and KDHX 88.1. Those are all of your jobs.
Some of them.
Some of them are, what are the other ones are?
Well, I'm a carpenter by trade.
I know, and that's what I love about you. What I love about you is that you love what you do musically, and you like to build things. You build things with your hands. I've always loved that about men who do things with their hands, and I think that's great.
Thank you.
Amazing. So why do you wear so many hats?
I have to. I have, just like anybody else who probably won't admit it, but we all have alter egos.
Mm-hmm.
So one part of me loves to do this, one part loves to do that. So it's like, well, just branch off. I mean, we all trees, right?
Mm-hmm.
So each one of my branches do something different, and that keeps me going.
And your love in music lies more or less with hip hop.
No, my love of music lies with music,
Okay.
all genres. I mean, it can be anything. I mean, it can be jazz. It can
Really?
be, oh
Because
yeah,
I was looking
oh
at your
yeah,
resume and it named different musics, but I didn't see jazz
yeah.
up in there.
But if you see me somewhere playing music,
Mm-hmm.
I'm all over the place. I'm a melting pot when it comes to playing music. You know, I don't have I hate to be set in a category
Okay.
of where you can only play this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that would drive me crazy.
Well, you work for
You
an
know,
R&B radio station.
uh-huh. And over
And
here
over here
also.
too. That's really interesting because I was wondering if KDHX played a big part in your execution of some of the things that you do.
Oh, definitely.
Hmm.
Because when I came to KDHX back in 1988,
Wow. Really?
yes, I was brought in with a guy that had a hip hop show here
Hmm.
back in 1988, and he brought me in to mix, you know, the hip hop. And at the same time, I started my record label. So it was an outlet for me to play the music that I had on my label and also expand my DJ skills on the radio. So that's why I got my training right
That's
here.
amazing. That's amazing. So you had a record label when
Yes.
you started in radio.
Yes.
That's amazing. Now tell us more about your record label.
Record label was Wizardtron
You
Records.
said was?
Yes, it's no longer.
Okay.
Right. I disbanded in 95.
Hmm.
But it was Wizardtron Records, and it was my partners in it was Tom Ray and Lou Prince of Vintage Vinyl.
Wow. Lou Prince, I love him. I love him.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so
Mhm.
I did I think 6 or 7 local songs. One in particular did pretty well. Actually, the first one called Culture Shock, which was based on I was on that Public Enemy type level of consciousness.
Mhm.
That's what my label was. I was doing music like that because I'm a child of the 60s,
Okay.
you know, so, but that, you know, and I dabbled into Brent as far as production because I was doing production, on the label. And so I would dabble into sounds of music, jazz. I got a song I need to get to you
Okay.
that you would probably like. It's called Harlem Renaissance.
Okay, now great. As long as they don't start rapping in the middle of it. Is that gonna happen?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, at the beginning.
See,
But it's actually a story
see there.
based on the Harlem Renaissance.
Oh, okay.
The names, the places, rent parties, all of that's the lyrical content of it.
Mm-hmm.
And with a jazz backbeat.
I get you.
Yeah.
I get you. I was listening to, I can't remember what artist this was I was listening to. That's why I haven't found the song yet. Sometimes I get, when I'm searching and I'm hearing something and not paying attention to what I'm listening to, but it was a rap sort of on top of straight ahead jazz. It was really great. And the lyrics were very now. And I think I could get into that, so I'm going to have to listen and look for that. But I'll also look for whatever it is you want me to hear too.
I can connect you with some of that.
I wanted to ask you, what is edutainment? What is that?
Edutainment is a name that I got from a KRS-One album from Boogie Down Productions. But my version of musical edutainment is it's a combination of behind the music meets unsung is what explain to people so they can kind of get a view of what it is. But I read stories, do research, books on artists or groups, and I take the information, put it together in a form where I can talk about the artist, give information, background information, and put it all together with music and videos. So it's kind of a visual where you actually been educated. I didn't know Shaka Khan's drummer was
right.
Natalie Cole's husband.
Yes. Yes. A whole lot of stuff we don't know until we're exposed to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff about Shaka, that we probably didn't even want to know,
But it's good to know.
It is.
And because that's when you realize you become more, the artist becomes more human to you when you find out these stories. From right off the top, they're just this person that's so big.
Let me ask you this, though. Is it the stories that you're interested in, is it the stories that they want us to know, or the stories that they find out about people?
Well,
both.
It's probably both, because some books that I read, for instance, are, authored by the artist. Mm-hmm. Some are written by,
other people
right?
Who think
so,
they know those people.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
So it varies, and that's why I just don't read the books. I do deeper research, because I want to get the facts and the storylines right.
Right. Listen, tell me about a background check.
Background
and
check.
And how that came about. What inspired you to do that?
I wanted to do a story on me.
On
musical
you?
entertainment on me.
Okay.
And, my musical background with my label and DJing and all that. And I decided that it would be best if I did it on the whole metropolitan area, because it's more people involved and it would make a bigger statement, with the history of hip hop, what it was like in St. Louis. I mean, you always hear and see documentaries and his stories about New York City, California. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's like there were other places in America that was doing hip hop. Mm-hmm. St. Louis and East St. Louis was one of those places. Mm-hmm. And we were the place that played the first rap song.
Right.
Not the places that has the crown.
Right.
So they may be the kings, but we're the joker.
Because everybody has their beginnings. It
Yes.
always started somewhere.
Yes.
And you found out that the beginning of hip-hop, as far as radio is concerned, started right here in this metropolitan area in East St. Louis, Illinois. So why don't you tell us that little story? For the little time we have left here.
The story was the Rapper's Delight song, one of the biggest rap songs in the world, was brought to WSL radio station and given to Jim Gates, Gentleman Jim Gates. And Jim Gates had to play the song, or was told to play the song, that moment. That moment. And the person on the air at the time was none other than your lady, Edie B.
Yes.
So, unfortunately for her case, because she hated it so bad, I'm quoting all of this. I've edited so much. I kind of know everybody's words.
And I noticed that you really made me look really cool, because I remember some of the things that I probably said to you during the interview. But yeah, I was not happy about that at all when he brought me this big thick thing that looked like a big album, acetate. But it was a test record or something.
Test pressing. And she played all 15 minutes of it for the rest of her show, which is, 2 or 3 more times. and she drove home like a maniac. She didn't tell us that part, but I'm pretty sure she did.
That was one of those days that you just go to work and then you make history.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody needed to tell that story.
And I'm glad you did, because I had been asked to do interviews about that.
Mm-hmm.
First from a lady from NPR. Her name is Emmanuel Burry is her name. And I interviewed with her, and I never thought about it. I never thought about that incident at all until she called me that day. And then after that, she graduated and moved away to New York City. And then somebody there called me and asked me to interview with them. So, and I thought about writing the story myself, but it's not my story. It's really...
It sounds better coming out of somebody
Actually, it's
else.
Jim's story. Because he knows more. I mean, Sylvia
he knows the
called
details.
Him absolutely. He knows the details.
Right.
Of
You know the
law.
headlines. He knows the details.
There are many stories to be told in hip hop, in jazz, in black radio, and I'm so glad that you are trying to do that.
Thank you.
And where do you go from here?
Home. No, I'm just
Well,
No, I'm the background check 2 is what I'm working on now. Part 2, actually. And it takes off from part 1 where it left off. And because there's going to be a total of 3 parts.
Okay.
And it takes us up to 1995. So it's from 79 to 95.
Wow. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
So am I.
And thank you for hooking me up. I have a hearing problem, and when I went to check out the documentary, you gave me a pair of headsets, and I was able to hear the whole thing, and I really love you for that. Yeah. Thank you. And I love you for coming and being my guest tonight. And I feel sort of like Leo Cheers, interviewing people in the wee small hours of the morning.
That's kind of the best time.
It is so cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ron Gee-Wiz Butts, the producer of the documentary Background Check. Thank you.
And thank you for inviting me to Birdland.